pretty simple. You want to win races, put KMCs on your truck.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. The first 2 cars heading off the line right now. Now we have a barber coming to the finish line.
Stacy Clark here, owner and general manager of Unlimited RV. As racers, we know how important time is. Not bad, kid. 5 seconds faster. As racers, we know how important reliability is. At Unlimited RV, we have lifetime warranty, so you know we've got you covered. At Unlimited RV, we offer nationwide free shipping, so you don't have to waste your time getting into the RV or motorhome for your next big adventure.
Sure, everything's made of something, but time and sweat is what puts it together. And it's that relentless application of effort against the clock that created everything around us. The BF Goodrich HD Terrain Tire is engineered to tackle the extreme situations heavy-duty trucks are met with head-on, because downtime can't exist when there's a job to do. Time isn't something to marvel at. It's something to be seized. It's a tool we put firmly in your hands. BF Goodrich, what are you building for?
I'm going for Baja 1000 win. That's what I'm going for. Hey, everybody. Cameron Steele here, driver of the number 16 Monster Energy BF Goodrich FIDAC truck. And I'm here to host Fishgistics along with some of my greatest friends. Of course, it's called Fishgistics because of our friend Austin Fish Farner. And so he's my co-host today. Fish, looks like a banger of a race course we're going to be talking about in this Baja 1000 course preview.
Yeah, we got over 1,300 miles to cover. That's one of the longest courses that we've ever talked about on the show. Actually, it is the longest because the only other course longer was the Baja 2000, right? And this show wasn't around back then. So this will be the longest one.
Heck, I'm not even sure if you were around back then, Fish.
Yeah.
Also joining us today will be Nate Hunt who represents BF Goodrich and is a part of the Jackson Motorsports Group team who lays out part of the race course. They pre-drive the race course. They set up the pits for BF Goodrich. Nate has seen the entire course as well. Nate, welcome back to Fishgistics once again. I love your background, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here. I am stoked on your sweater. I almost wore that same one today, but I'm kind of glad I didn't because that would have been weird. But yeah, the Sirios trees, pretty cool. And
so for people that don't know, the Sirios tree starts about El Rosario in the north and carries down through just past the Bay of LA Highway Junction. It's called the Sirios, loosely translated as match or fire. And so when it's blooming, the very top of that is yellow flowers. It looks like the top of a match. So that's how we got that. I call it the Dr. Seuss tree, popularly known as the Boojum as well. A little bit later on, we're going to have some course know-it-alls jump in. My navigator, Cody Stewart, who's part of the Jackson Motorsports BF Goodrich mapping team. He's seen a ton of the race course and a ton of the access roads in the towns. And Ryan Arciero, 3-time Baja 1000 overall winner, will be here as well, who's been doing some pre-running, my race partner. And without further ado, we'd like to step into the part of the show where we're going to talk about safety. But before we do that, I did want to mention that remember that no matter what you do, the Baja 1000 is a dangerous undertaking. It's a long way. It's a lot of highway, a lot of off-road. Don't ask more from your teams than you should. Proceed with caution. Always take the under instead of the over on mileages, times, and all of that. I mean, it's going to take longer to get most everywhere than you think it will. I also want to mention that this show, Fishgistics, is full of great information, but you should always explore for yourself, always dig in and get the information. This is all opinion based, meaning you can't take this to heart, you can't take it as fact, because frankly, every time a pre-runner goes by a corner on the race course, a rock moves, the rain comes in, the fog changes it. The race course is ever changing, and the livestock is everywhere and moving at all times. So remember, this is opinion based. We're trying to give you all the info we can to help you find a way to guide yourself through this Baja 1000. Safety, job number one. Bob Bauer wrote a great piece about it. I'm sure you can find it on the internet if you would like to check it out. It is a huge peninsula. Those of you that haven't done this before, I caution you that it's massive. Right now, we're going to start the show with the weatherman, Scott Steinberger, and his father before him, Bob, have been a huge part of relay and radio communications, and really the leader in this category through their PCI Race Radios company. And it's going to be a little bit of a change this year, or a lot of a change this year. I'm glad Scott's here to give us a safety update. So Scott's going to explain to us communication. Scott's going to explain to us how to reach out in an emergency and a number of other things. Scott, for those of you that don't know, is a Baja 1000 racer and winner. He has done everything from mini mags to fun trucks to trophy trucks, and has a wealth of information when it comes to Baja. Scott Steinberger, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Cameron. Thanks for having me, Fish and Cameron. I guess we'll jump right in as far as talking about Baja 1000 communications and how they're different. So for the past over 30 years, Weatherman Relay has been on top of a mountain in Baja doing communications. And for this race, it's going to be a little different. Our point at the Baja 1000 Diablo or the observatory covers about 350 miles of the race course, which is the last 350 miles of the race course, which means I would not have coverage until the last 350 miles of race. So to get that extra cover, we used to rely on aircraft, but aircraft had a few issues. Part of being 25% of the time, we were either heading for a landing or landing and refueling. So we had 25% lapse in coverage. The aircraft also becomes a problem nowadays because we used to have a lot of teams running aircrafts, but those teams no longer run aircrafts because they're running satellite-based communications. So the airports are not staying open all night. So the airplane is not even an option really anymore for the relay to stay up the whole time. So we are going to satellite-based communications. This year's Baja 1000 is required for every racer to have a satellite type device, whether it is a sat phone or Starlink with your cell phone or Sat 100 radio, or the bikes can even use an InReach or a Garmin spot tracker, different kinds of trackers, anything that you can get a message to my number, which is 562-279-0700. Fish is going to post that, so make sure you guys jot it down. But 562-279-0700 will be the main communication number for the Baja 1000. From that number, if you are calling for status or something non-life-threatening, non-emergency, texts are always appreciated. We don't want to tie up the line too much with phone calls. If you do have to get a hold of us in emergency, I do want you to call, and we have the capacity to transfer calls to Score Ensenada, Score La Paz. We even have a phone set up with BF Goodrich Relay. So BFG Relay will be backing us up as far as VHF communications, and a big thank you to BFG for that. So BFG is putting up several relay points across the Baja Peninsula, and my advice would be the effort that BFG puts into the Baja 1000, both with support and just knowledge of BFG, is a great reason to run BFG tires if you're paying for tires. And it's not too late. You can go out today to go to Discount Tire or call BFG Racing and get some BFG tires, because the support they offer, the pits, the radio relay and everything is amazing and really helps you get to the finish line of the Baja 1000, especially when you're a smaller team. What I mean by a small team, if there's 10 guys or less heading to Baja to race a 1,300-mile race, you need BFG. You cannot do it on your own. Your guys can't keep up with you. They can't get into you in all the spots and make it to the next spot to fuel you. So BFG is the way to go. They do their relay on 151.715 on all radios we've ever sold. It's called BFG Relay. They will take emergency calls and patch them through to our ops center. So if you have an emergency, you can call them on VHF. If you want a status or you want to know a split on the next driver, if you're not on BFG tires, you're not going to get it. All right. That's part of their effort is them going for the win, and they're very competitive, and they should be with the amount of money they spend on the Baja 1000. We're going to talk about, there's a form that SCORE sent out that is a form for information on your communications plan. And it's required for you guys to fill out your communications form to get a text sheet at the race. So this will not be a surprise when you get to the end. Like, I don't have this information. I need this information. Take some time to put this information down. We've already had about 70.
I'll show them how to get there real quick. So if you guys can see right here, this is the SCORE International main page. Go to race info at the top and then click on Baja 1000 and then scroll down right here and it says SCORE radio relay required information. Once you click on that, this form that Scott's talking about is going to come up. So go ahead, Scott.
All right. So that's going to give us the driver record, team name, vehicle number, class, race day, main point of contact. This is the communications person on your team, not your emergency contact. So if weatherman needs to get a hold of your team, I need information on how to get a hold of them. And any information you give is very helpful, whether it's satellite phone numbers, text numbers, cell phone with Starlink. You can answer the question. It even has your VHF frequency, so I can share those with BFG Relay. It also has one thing that if you have a spot tracker, Garmin InReach account, or any offsite tracking that's non-SCORE related tracking on the Stella, it has a spot to put in your link. This is very important. We get about 5% of the cars and bikes during the race that do not track on the Stella. And we have no way to know where they're at, if they're moving or if they have a problem, and your loved ones at home get worried about you guys. So having that link so we can look and make sure you're moving and have another way to reach you is very important. That's one of the bottom things. And then if you have any other information like, hey, I got a static pit set up at mile 400 and you guys want to feed the weatherman and Fishgistics some information, we would love to have any of that information as far as, updates, who came through first, how far out, second was, my favorite guys leading the race, woohoo, and that kind of stuff. Let's see. One other thing is pit teams. I've already got some information from Checkers and BFG. I need Baja pits and Mag 7's updated communication and mileage markers so I can plug those into my war room map. Cameron mentioned this earlier about being cautious in Baja, and this is a 1,300-mile race. And one of the things I get on the Weatherman channel is I get a call saying, hey guys, we have a dangerous spot here. There's spectators cutting across the course and we need to get some course workers out here. And people think in their head that it is SCORE's responsibility to be at every place, and they can't be. It's 1,300 miles. How many people would they need to handle a 13-mile course? It wouldn't happen. And, the F1 prices at Vegas are pretty high. The Baja 1000 prices would be higher if we had people at every turn. So Baja race is really the adventure, and you are really on your own more than you realize. That means race, chase, ride accordingly. Do not drive over your head. If you're slapping your face to stay awake in the middle of the night, pull over, switch drivers, okay? Bob Bauer mentioned this story. I think it's called What About Me? I used to sit in a BFG meeting when I was racing, and there'd be thousands of people in a room going over the race. And Bob Bauer would say, look at the person next to you and look at the person behind you. And in this room, there's probably someone that's not coming home. And it really hits home when you realize that, you know, hey, we're racing to win the Baja 1000. We're racing for glory, and it means a whole hell of a lot. But it doesn't mean sacrificing someone on your team because they're either ill-equipped or have too much responsibility in the race. So don't put your people in those responsibility. I do see that a lot of teams team up for this race, and you know, you'll see trophy truck teams teaming up, and you'll see different people teaming up. They're doing that for a reason, because this race is hard. And if you are going down there with 10 people to race, do it. I did it, and that's how I started, and I loved it. But make sure you're setting realistic goals and using every benefit you can, like BF Goodrich pits. And again, it's not too late to call and sign up BFG tires and get it in. I know a guy named Nate that's on the show right now, and he'll say that the deadline's probably already passed, but he'll fit you in. Let's see.
Scott, one question we had: if someone has a push-to-talk satellite phone, is there a way for them to talk to you on that? On a, like a Sat 100, I think is what they're talking about.
If they have a push-to-talk Sat 100, they're obviously going to have a Starlink. Okay, so their team captain and their primary communicator is going to have a way to get a hold of the weatherman, so they can talk through that. I do have a way to get onto talk groups, but it takes time. And in an emergency, it'll take time for me to get to your talk group. So the best way to communicate is going to be through your team and through your team communicator, and that'll be the person I have. So when you fill out that form, I'm going to get a spreadsheet that shows, you know, 441 X rates, a number I remember from the last race. But it's going to tell me the team contact, who to get a hold of. Another thing, when you do, you know, call it a day, let the weatherman know. Let us know we're not looking for you. We're not burning assets trying to find you because one of your team members saying, I haven't been able to get a hold of my husband and he's fishing in Loreto, you know, and they're worried. So make sure you call it a ball and let your teammates know, and let the weatherman know when you're out of the race. But, you know, one other thing to remember when we're talking about safety is that helicopters do not fly at night in Baja. They're not equipped, and there's no ground reference points at night and when it's dark in Baja. So if you have an accident at night, you are going to be waiting for a pickup truck or an ambulance to come in and get you and drag you out to an ambulance. And when we're not talking miles, we're talking in some cases 50 miles, 50 plus miles. So race accordingly and realize that you really have to take a hold of your own safety. And I can't overstate it. It is dangerous to race Baja. With that said, Baja savvy is something that, you know, we learn over time. And, you know, guys like Cameron, myself, and all the other racers that have been doing this for 20 plus years know what that means. And we've all, you know, had little incidents along the way and learned from our mistakes. You new guys, this is a crash course, and it can't be a crash course because crashing is dangerous in Baja. So you got to ride accordingly, and you got to realize that, you know, what we do is pretty awesome, but it takes the right mentality to get to the finish line. You can go like a bat out of hell for 100 miles, but can you go like a bat out of hell for 1,300 miles? I don't think so. Your equipment will not last. So yeah, be Baja savvy, and, you know, use information from peers and friends that have raced before, and don't try to overdo it. You know, if you right now are stressed that you don't have enough help, I would say team up with another team or get ready for the next year's Baja 1000, guys. Do not be unprepared for the Baja 1000.
And speaking of the Baja 1000, we got 1,300 miles to talk about, right? Are you guys ready? Let's see. We got Cody's coming on too. You ready, Nate?
Yeah. I just wanted to say real quick, thanks, Scott, for everything Weatherman does too. I mean, you guys have done awesome over the years. I know you guys are going to be awesome this race as well. And you guys are super valuable, especially in emergency situations. And just like you guys, I just want to say with the BFG relay specifically is, you know, we're out there for the sport of off-road racing. We want it to be safe, and we want it to be a good experience for everybody involved. So yes, we are ultimately out there for the sport. We are out there for our BFG teams as well. But please make sure you have that frequency, that 151, 715. Our relay teams have spent a lot of time on this course to make sure that we have the entire course covered. So very appreciative of the team that we have out there. And we do want you to reach out in an emergency situation. So please make sure you have that frequency saved in your radio. And yeah, Starlinks are nice, and even sat phones are nice as long as they turn on and you can find it if you have a rollover or something. But usually that VHF is a good thing to have as well. So please save that frequency in your radios. But yeah, I think that was a great job. And again, Scott, thank you for you and your team and everything you guys do out there.
Perfect. All right. So everybody knows how the communications are going to work at the Baja 1000. Everyone knows in an emergency what to do. If you have a VHF radio, like Nate said, go on BFG relay. They will relay. If you have a cell phone, any kind of texting device, you can text or call Scott at that number. I will post that number on Fishgistics once again when we're done here if you didn't get it earlier. Print that out and put that in with your in your chase trucks. Put it in your door bag, print it out, and put it in your sat phone bag with the sat phone, just so you have those dialing instructions. You remember the phone number, because in an emergency, you're not going to remember that number off the top of your head. So put that piece of paper in with your crew in your pit books, and let's have a safe race. What do you think, Cameron? You ready to talk about the course?
Can I jump in? Can I jump in real quick on one thing?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to jump, guys, and you guys have a great talk about your 1,300 miles. I'm jealous that I don't get to do the 1,300 miles listen with you. I'll be listening in. I wanted to mention, too, being prepared today. There's a test and tune at PCI. If you're listening to this now, it's probably kind of late to get down to the test and tune, but make sure your radio equipment, your satellite phones are turned on, you've tested and made sure everything works before you go down to Baja. We will have a limited crew in La Paz to help at tech for any last minute stuff, but we're not going to have the big trailers down there. So if you need catheter kits or shields or whatever you need, get it ordered today. Go get your stuff tested and tuned. You can even call and still make an appointment to have us come to your shop, but have your communications ready for the Baja 1000 and make sure you fill out that form. All right. I'm going to send a list of people I don't have a form for next Tuesday, I think, to score. And they're going to start sending out emails that, hey, this is required. So before you get that email, get the information to me. And one last thing on that form, if you have updated information, you can send in a second form and it'll always give me the more updated information. So you can fill out that form several times if you need to get it to me. And if you're going to be a chase guy or a spectator at Race Mile 200, and you want to be in, fill in a form, Race Mile 200, and give me your contact information, and we'll contact you to see what's going on and make sure you're safe in the race. Hey, weatherman clear, race safe, be smart, and I hope you guys all make it to the finish line in Ensenada. Short drive home is the only nice thing after that.
Thank you, Scott. Big props to you and your family. Remember, use these communications wisely, everybody. Emergency situations, don't be calling to say that you forgot something or don't have something. Those aren't emergencies. They might seem like an emergency to you, but keep the channels open for those that need them. All right, everybody, the know-it-alls are here, so to speak. Everybody here has a pretty good wealth of information when it comes to Baja. This Fishgistics Baja 1000 preview show, course preview, again, is opinion-based. Try to give you the best info we can. If you have questions, send them right now to Fish through the wherever you're watching, Facebook or whatever. Send him the questions and we'll try to get to them. Also share this right now so everybody in the sport knows that we're live talking about the Baja 1000. First thing you need to know is we're starting in downtown La Paz, and I did not go down to the Malecon and look at it, but I have been there about 80 times. But Nate, if you could give us a quick preview of what you think it will look like and how you think the start's going to work.
Yeah, so they had some rain a few days ago, maybe last week or week before or something. So I do know that from what I've heard down there, they've been working on cleaning up the Malecon streets and all the streets down there, but specifically the Malecon. The city officials wanted to have the trucks going at a pretty decent speed, which is why you see the 60 mile an hour. I was a little surprised, kind of hoping for a 37 mile an hour through town, but it is going to be a 60 mile an hour speed zone. And it's really, really, really early in the race. It's a long race. So just be super careful. Obviously traffic will be blocked and all that kind of stuff, but the Malecon's still the Malecon, and there's going to be a bunch of people down there watching. People probably running across the roads and everything. So just be super, super careful at the beginning of the race. But yeah, it does go down the Malecon out onto the highway, go by I call them the Doves, but I guess people call them the Whale's Tail, and gets out on there. So I believe that's all 60 mile an hour.
And let me comment, everybody, really quick, that this is the third most populous town in all of Baja. And there is a lot of people. 60 miles an hour is fast. If you haven't driven through this back neighborhood that connects the Malecon to the main highway, there's a lot of people. And just please take it easy. Keep your head on a swivel. Even if the streets are closed, there's always a possibility that someone crosses or a vehicle gets out there. So just please, I know SCORE and the local police and the Guardia National will all be there to block it off. Take it easy. First two course notes. The first one is take it easy in La Paz. The second one is we don't turn off at the same spot that we've been turning onto the highway for those of you that have raced the peninsula around the past. Now, we're going to be kind of breezing through some of these segments because we only have about 90 minutes to talk about race course. If you have a specific question, send it in. Nate, I agree with you. I've been calling it the Whale's Tail for many, many years. They are pea stubs that are intersected on the entry into La Paz. If you see them, you'll know it just happens to look like a whale's tail. The Baja experience people who have raced, we've been on the podium the last 3 peninsula runs, the Desert Assassins. I still had a hard time finding the start line where it was going through town. Ha, ha, ha. Cody was there to tell me what to do. Who's my navigator? He's here with us. He helped to lay this out. It is a little bit differently if you do go through a neighborhood, which is similar. What is different is we're not going through the cemetery or around the cemetery that we have in the past. The fun part is that we are going directly to the steps. I want to point this out right here at the end of speed zone.
And that is 37 there, Cameron, just so that everybody knows. It is 37 on the speed zone.
Yeah, there was once you get down to the end of the Malecon, it switches to 37, and then it gets back out to the highway, not highway, but the main road. It goes to 60, and then it goes back down to 37 mile an hour when you make the left-hand turn.
Yeah, so pay attention to that because those penalties count later in the day. I want to point something out, Fish. Right there at that end of the speed zone, the first left turn, there's a pretty good-sized tree on the outside. Don't hit it. That's my first word of advice for everybody. No, on the left going into the little trail, it pushes a little wide there, and it's different. I'm sure it'll be all burned in, maybe just past there, but right in there, there's a left turn with a pretty good sized tree on the outside. But this is a little different, but it's going to connect right back to the race course. Cody, it's a tight little section, but nothing like the tight stuff that you have to battle going up before you get into the steps.
No, it's you're going through the town there through the speed zone, and then it jumps into a couple little new sections that we haven't really done too much, and then gets back onto the main race course heading up to the steps. But that was my first time going up the steps in a car. Always usually going down it in vehicles, but going up it was pretty cool and a new experience, and it was a good time.
Yeah, how was the steps? A lot of people were asking about that. Is it class 11 or any of these limited classes going to have any problems, do you guys think, going up the steps?
I think class 11 has better drivers probably than any class out there. So the class I'm least worried about is class 11. I'm more worried about the big horsepower super donkeys like me. So I would say this, the steps to me consist of kind of 3 segments. The traditional kind of at the bottom, still in the flats, there's some rain ruts, some cross ruts. Be careful. Some of the whoops have been cleaned out by the rain. Then you start to climb, and you're going to get into those yucky whoops, big rollers. Then you'll eventually get to what is known as the steps. Now, if you were going to categorize the steps, I would say it's like a 400-yard section of stair-step climbs. There are 3 photos on the Desert Assassins Facebook and I believe Instagram of us climbing the steps. We did drag a trailing arm up one of the steps. There's multiple ways to do it. You can go side to side in a couple spots. There is a couple spots where there really is only one way to do it. I'm sure Cody will agree that whatever I did was wrong. We oftentimes disagree on routing inside the car just because that's how it goes. We've been together in the car for 20 years. But Cody, overall, I didn't think it was a huge question mark. We drove right up. Granted, we had 40-inch BFGs and 600 horsepower, but do you see this as a problem for any of the other classes?
I don't think so. It definitely wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It always seems worse going down it, like in a Raptor, like I've done multiple times or something like that. But definitely not as bad as I thought. I think, if they keep some momentum, I think the people will be fine going up it. They can't get scared and stop and try to go again, especially for like a 16 car or something like that. You might burn out the clutch at mile 20. So keep your momentum up.
I actually think the most treacherous spot of the steps is you come around a slight left out of some of the whoops, and there is the first little ledge is pretty narrow, and off to the right is pretty steep. So you got to make sure you have good tire placement and get into position. Nate, you remember that spot right when you come into those climbs of the steps?
Yeah, and it's definitely doable. I did it in a Raptor with 37-inch tires. It is doable. There is a couple spots that I think there's only one lane. So, like Cody said, keep it moving. Don't be scared of it, but also don't race up it. Just get up it because you got a long course in front of you. So, if you just keep rolling and ease your way up through there and watch where you're putting your tires and have a plan going up that hill, I think it's going to be fine. I think Score, and I wish Jose G could have made it on this call, but I did hear that Score is planning on having some type of a rescue up in that area to try to help if somebody does get stuck. There's not a big, large bottleneck all day. So I'm hoping that's still happening, but that I did hear that Score is planning on doing that. Good
info, Nate. Thank you very much. The top of the steps has quite a few shrines or memorials to people that have been lost, and there's a little bit of a wide spot there. Definitely one of those historic, legendary spots. Normally we are going down looking at La Paz. This time we're looking into the sky. We're going to move it forward. You're going to get onto some faster, what I would consider 2-track, some graded road. Right about mile 24, there was a giant washout. Cody, you agree? Is that mile 24 from the rains? We had to tiptoe in there in the trophy truck pre-runner to get around. I'm sure people have been doing it. I spoke with the Duran family. They also went around it. So I'm not exactly sure the exact mile, but somewhere in that vicinity, there was a little bit of a hair-raising experience on the ledge there.
Yeah, for sure. The storm down there did cause a little bit of damage, and the main road got washed out. And then there's a right line as well that people used to take that's washed out as well. So both are washed out, but you kind of had to go through the middle of both of them and knock down a couple trees to get through there. But I think it'll be fine. It's just you don't want to come around that corner at full speed and do those rain ruts.
Definitely not. It's going to be tight. Going to have some little steps in here, a little bit of that dreaded white shale rock. Then we'll start moving forward on the race course. As we get towards the name of the place that I can never say, Conquistador Aguilera. I'm not sure. I'm terrible at this. I wish Jose G was here to help. This is the main paved road that goes down in. That's only been paved for about 7 years. You're going to cross that. There are some giant water crossing areas in there, arroyos, and there's a really big washout right after you cross the highway, heads up. We can't name all the washouts and all the dangers, just like Score can't do it on the GPS plot, but it's there's definitely some sketchy spots in there. This is a little bit different route. We're going to head down to the coast, and at about race mile 51, you are on the Pacific Ocean. There's a shot of that, I think, on our Desert Assassins Facebook also, if you want to take a look. A little bit of a tricky section here. When we were early pre-running, we were there pretty early on. There's a they're doing some kind of growing down there, like or salinization or moving water. So there's some pipes laying around, and there's some over-unders. They kind of want you to go up and around to the right and not run over the pipe. So just take a look when you get there pre-running. Make sure you're paying attention.
Yeah, I think we put a VCP over there to make sure people aren't going over that pipe, if I remember it.
Copy. I can see that looks like maybe VCP 15. A little bit of zigzagging in there. So just pay attention to what you're doing. Danger coming up. You're going to merge onto a little bit better of a road. This is in the neighborhood of Punta Marquez. Some surf spots. I've seen some windsurfing out there. Junction, move forward. We're going to start moving up along to Punta Conejo, which is one of those legendary spots. This year at Conejo is going to be about race mile 66, if I'm not mistaken, which is a cool tribute to Kurt Caselli, who passed away racing in 2013, one of the most legendary dirt bike racers. Every time I go by race mile 66, I think about Kurt, and to have it at such a beautiful location. The thing I would caution all the racers about is, if you thought there were a lot of people in La Paz, wait till you see all the people at Punta Conejo. Now, usually they're out there camping overnight, and you're getting there at dawn for the trophy trucks. This time they'll be camping overnight, and we'll be getting there about 9:45. But this is going to be, or 10 o'clock. It's going to be a lot of people. I would caution you, be careful. If you or your team happen to be using that Punta Conejo road, there are a couple, the access road, Cody, there's a couple sneak up turns on you on that thing, huh?
Yeah, for sure. It looks like it goes straight, just like you're going out to Santo Tomas, and it goes left. So don't be speeding on the access road, or you could be finding yourself not on the road anymore.
Yeah, just so everybody knows who's watching, if you're seeing these blue lines, this is actually the BFG file that BFG makes that is awesome. This thing has every access road on it. It has gas stations. It has everything. So thanks, Nate, for this file. It really helps out having these access roads and everything on it.
And Cody, so Nate, for those of you guys that don't know, Cody and Nate both work for Jackson Motorsports Group, who are a provider for BF Goodrich. And BF Goodrich provides the courses, the notes, and they go down and they drive the course beforehand. Nate drives the course, and Cody drives the access roads, just for a little bit of background on that. Okay, north of Punta Conejo, we saw water damage. There are some rain ruts. There are some cross race course holes. Beware. The first real place, if you go to race mile about 79, there was water in this arroyo right here on the race course. Is this the one? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Rancho Guadalupe.
yeah, so I haven't heard for sure if that's passable or not, but there, it sounds like people are going there. Or what's the option, Nate?
Yeah, just don't get stuck.
Yeah, good.
It's so
good
hard.
Cody?
Yeah, so when we got there, that was pretty mudded in. So we actually took that little road around right there and joined back in. But that right at the crossing right there in the road, it was probably a couple feet of water. So it might be dried out, it might not.
But there's no VCP there, so you can make however you can get around it.
Yeah, use caution there.
We drove down to it. There was quite a bit of water, but I've heard the water has dissipated a ton. Heading back north, traditionally where the silt beds are, Santa Fe is this entire area. I saw no evidence of silt beds other than I think it will get a little soft right before we drop into VCP 19. But the rest of it's all pretty tracked in. There was a lot of water. So VCP 19 there, that's where the traditional come down off the hill. There was a little bit of silt there developing maybe at VCP 18, but not a lot. It was just loose. Would you consider that even silt at this point, Cody? It was a little loose.
No, it was a little loose, but I'm sure it'll get a little bit worse as the pre-running goes.
I'm sure. Pre-runner hot rods. And just note, you guys are on their ranch fields in here, or ranch roads. There was quite a bit of water between the fences. If you zoom in, go back just a little bit, Fish, there was some water to deal with after, I think it's VCP 20. Yeah, just between 20 and 21, there was some water out there. Just be careful. I haven't seen it in a little bit, so just take a look before you leap. That'll get you into Santa Fe. There's 2 chase roads that go in and out here. There should be some spectators in this area. There's quite a few ranches and farms in here, you guys. Please be careful and be respectful, as should always be the norm. Don't pre-race make sure you pre-run. That'll get you past the shrine around VCP 23, which we can make jokes about that all day because that's Cody's number. This is some of the white shale, Cody, through here. That's always a big favorite when I'm on my motorcycle.
Yeah, it can be really loose, and it's a tire eater for sure. So just be careful when you're going through that, especially on a bike. The loose rocks, it can always catch you by surprise. So just be careful.
And you can see by looking at the Google Earth here, you can see how the water is traveling from the higher ground on the east and heading down towards the coast. So that's why they call it cross grain, because the water or the grain is crossing. So beware. Just telling you, be careful all over this thing. Now you're going to make a hard left onto a pretty nice 2-track. It's kind of a washy, sandy road. That's going to take you down to VCP 26, and you'll start zigzagging. There's a little, if you zoom in there at VCP 26, and just below it right there, there used to be some water bays they made in there. I was told that was originally made for a restaurant that was trying to develop like a crawfish dish back in the States. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just thought I'd point that out because we ride our dirt bikes through there sometimes. All right, then you're going to head up towards Punta Charle. Expect people in this area, of course. There's some good zigzagging and moving around in here, which is going to get you to the speed zone onto the Santa Rita Highway. Now, we are going to get to our first BFG pit here as well. There are 9 on the peninsula. If you're a BFG tire user, you can buy BFG emergency pits, which means not full service. You can pull in for help for $500. And if you pay $1,000, you can use them for full pit service. Is that right, Nate?
Yeah, that's correct. And anybody along with the emergency only, also everybody gets all the GPS files like we're following here, as well as the map books and the chase access information and all that. So yeah, along with the emergency only, you get all that, and then the full service are ones that we're planning on using for fueling for a planned pit. So yeah, these guys are excited. They're usually the last pit. It's the same people because they know the location, but there used to be the last pit, so they're really excited about having being the first ones and seeing all the cars going through. So it's going to be interesting. We are on the right hand side of the highway. Just a little note for all teams, again, you have to be, if it's pavement, you have to be on the right hand side. Normally we're on the other side of the road because we're coming the other direction, but going north, we had to switch sides of the road. So it's not in the exact same location as we've been in the past, but it is on the right hand side of the highway going north, and we'll be ready for anybody that needs us.
Yep. In 2021, Cody and I went through there right at the pre-dawn, fog still kind of hanging. Chase and Tavo were in 3rd overall, trying to make a move forward. It was a heck of a race and super exciting little zone. Remember, pay attention to speed zones, pay attention to spectators. You're going to drop off the highway to the left, and hey, there's a lot of people around here sometimes, so be real careful driving around the bushes in there. Then these graded roads that intersect, if you pay attention, they go across. So it's a fast zone, but when you're pre-running, make sure you're paying attention that people could be driving to work or going home on these roads going across the race course. Don't be an a-hole. Well, I know it's hard for many of you not to be. I'm just saying. This is going to take you into the all-wheel drive courtesy zone is what I like to call it. This is where they've eliminated all the giant bumps along the race course. And I think that it's fair that they've eliminated them for the Ironman riders and for all the other people in the race as well. If I had my way, I'd send the unlimited trucks through there, but they're not. So VCP, is it 31? VCP Andy McMillan. You can see there's this big water flat out here that you have to go around, and you can see the VCP 32 there. But yeah, basically skirting this big lake bed out there. So pay attention. There are some sudden sand drifts and sand mounds you got to pay attention to. So be aware of that. You're going to get onto a rancher's access road. We saw the rancher and waved at him. Hard left is directly in the middle of his cow pasture. It's not really pasture. It's where all the cows poop. So if you have a helmet visor, make sure you have it shut right there as you make that hard left back onto the other road. Right, Nate? You guys put the left turn thing right into the cow poop.
Yeah, a little bit of a shitty situation, but it is what it is. He wanted to see the cars close, so hey, he's letting us go through his property, so whatever he wants.
Hey, whatever he wants to make sure that we're not in the bumps over there. Left
Oh,
turn.
definitely. Yeah, on race day, that's going to be a shit show right there for sure.
Oh, bump. All the comedians are in the house today. If you're watching, share and tell everybody how funny Fish and Nate are. This is pretty fast stuff in here, you guys. Be careful. It's a downhill route to race mile 160. Then you're going to make a right at VCP Jason Voss, 35. And this gets a little bit more rough, and there's some big watch out fors in here. There's a couple big unexpected holes and some bumps as we head up towards what's commonly known as the Constitution area. This is actually the San Carlos Highway. Is that Highway 22? Is that right?
Yes.
That comes out of the central part of Constitution. Quick left and then a right. It's different than it's been in the past. Nate, you guys have plotted a little bit of a different route in this section.
Yeah, there's a couple little new sections like that. And again, we've talked about this all year, last couple of years actually on these shows, but Score's done a really good job in trying to find some new course on every single race that they put on. And they spend a lot of time trying to make sure you guys see something fresh and it's not the same course every year after year. So yeah, there's a little bit new here.
And it is, and I agree, it is fun to see something different. The other thing that does is it allows for different sections to get the wind to blow it over and the water to change it back. It doesn't just become one giant sand whoop. And of course, it's not really a problem because Score's not racing down there all the time, every 3 years usually. But there are local races that intersect and use some of these races. A nice series that comes out of Constitution and La Paz. It's going to take you up to VCP 38, race mile 195. A little bit of a canopy tree section. There was some water in there a week ago, heads up. This brings you to the right-hand turn that brings you to the Lopez Mateos road crossing. Now, this is a road that comes out of north of Insurgentes. There's a lot of people here pre-running. There was probably 70 people pre-running. We were there midday on a weekday, and there was probably 70 people there waiting. The town of Lopez Mateos is a fishing town. You can see off to the west there, and most of the fishermen work in the morning and the early afternoon, and then the late afternoon they can all hear the race cars or pre-runners coming, so they head up there and watch the road crossing. Beautiful little town. You can do whale watching out of there to go to Mag Bay, February, March. Danger. Cody always says don't go straight because there's just a giant cliff into the water. I agree with you, Cody. This is one of the few times I actually agree with you. No comment? Got nothing to say? That's how it goes in the race car too. When I start talking crap, he just clams up. He doesn't like it.
Definitely a danger. You're going in trophy trucks 90 miles an hour before that into a pretty hard right. So you just slow up a little bit before you get to that spot. You'll be going so fast, and you'll just be like, "Oh, this is fun, and then all of a sudden there's a big right hand turn with if you go straight, it's not very good. So pay attention.
Zoom out a little bit, Fish. Just a little bit. A little bit more. Look east, look west, sorry, right there. There's an old borax plant right there on the coast. You can see the pier there and stuff. So just a note, little note. Okay.
Well, you guys were down there. Did the marking crew put some signs there to make sure that you don't go straight? Because just so everybody knows, if you do go straight, you're not gonna have a good day.
Yeah,
and
it's
they're supposed to put some markers up there to make sure people don't go straight, but that's like a 30-foot cliff that you go off.
There was a few. The first 80 miles from the storm really tore down all the signs and mile markers. So I think they're gonna have to do some work to put everything back up, at least in the first 80 miles. And then the wind is blowing over course markers and some other places, but I think there was some caution tape right there. So gives somebody without a GPS or something like that a little notice to stay right.
Yeah, copy. That's why we put that danger waypoint there rather than up further, so they get that waypoint, see that waypoint before you actually are in a bad position.
Hopefully nobody goes that way. Anyway, you're going to go around this one. You're going to have another one to go around as you head further north. See this left jog, then another one. Here's another hard right. Yeah, you might ask why does it look like you can go straight? Some of the stuff was old survey stuff that was cut. Make sure you go right around that water obstacle. This is a pretty traditional race course in here. Lots of sand and rolling hills that does develop whoops, and there are some kickers in there. That's going to bring you into Santo Domingo. It's a farming community, as you can see. There was quite a few people down there recently greeting us. We rode Rip to Cabo through there, and there was tons of people. Every time off-roaders are around, they're around. But you can see all the farm fields in this area. This is a BFG Pit 2. I call this the Santo Domingo Road crossing. Some people call this the start of the San Javier Road. It's just north of Zaragoza on highways. It starts with a 5, right? Anyway,
this has got to be one of the narrowest parts of the peninsula right here too, right?
It's pretty narrow for sure. Yeah. But don't be deceived. It's tricky. This is the San Javier Road. You go on to race mile 235, and it's all graded road for the most part. There are some giant arroyos that you will cross. I don't know how many. I counted them one time, but can't remember. The arroyos, it's very well marked when we were in there. I thought there was a couple places where the markers were down from the wind, but beware because it goes over rise, suddenly right or left. It can be very tricky where the water has rerouted the road, and you have to go in a different spot, especially if you're in there in the dark. Your lights might show you a road straight ahead, but it might not connect anymore. So make sure you're paying attention to what's right in front of you. The San Javier Mission is somewhere in a little further up. This is all zigzagging mountain roads. Some of the most beautiful stuff that you'll see in Baja, Nate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love going through that area. We were trying to count too how many times we crossed the same exact wash, but we lost count. But yeah, just super pretty up there, even before you get to the mission and the history there. But yeah, I love this section. And it's so cool going this direction. I've been going north through this area before, and it's kind of cool. But this whole course, I probably should have said this at the beginning. Just driving this course north, it's almost like everything's brand new because you're seeing it from a different direction. It's a pretty awesome experience.
Note in San Javier there, it's known as the Jewel of the Mission Trail. You can see it in a cross formation in the center. If you make a left off the race course there on the cobbles, there's a little store. You get something to drink. The people are super friendly. It's a 37-mile-an-hour speed zone in the race. I would suggest going under that considerably when you're coming into town. There's a ton of little kids on the right. If you get a chance to visit San Javier or the 300-year-old olive tree in the back, many people think that is one of the very first olive trees brought to the Californians by the Spaniards. It's a pretty surreal visit. It's a beautiful place. Then you're going to be on the speed zone. This is all paved. Probably over the last decade, the pavement has popped up in here. It's still one of the more dangerous roads that you will encounter in Baja. These zigzags have sheer cliffs off the side, and not very often do you have a speed zone at 37 miles an hour on the pavement with a danger. But we have one right there. The whole side of the road is washed out here. It's a pretty good trick that they built paved road up there, but I can't believe that it sustains with the cliffs and the waterfalls that are coming down when the storms come in hot. Got something for me, Nate?
Nope. I remember that waypoint, and it was on Roto's side, so he's the one who put the waypoint there.
There's a couple giant missing parts of pavement on there, you guys. Just please be careful. You're going to stay down on the highway. You can see here at race mile 292, you're going to turn into the wash, which, if I'm not mistaken, the race course many years ago went on the San Javier Road, and the sneaky drivers went down the wash. It is the race course nowadays. I'll caution you that there are some pretty big rocks laying all over the place. Normally it gets a route burned into it that's the most primary route. Last time I saw it, when you get closer to the highway crossing under Highway 1, it's not quite as clear as it probably will be by race day. But all down the wash, lots of rocks. Be careful. That's going to bring you into Loreto. Now, this is one of my things. I try to be very kind to everybody. Loreto is in Texas. Loreto, is in Baja Sur, Baja. So let's try to pay attention to that. If you haven't been to Loreto before, it's a beautiful little town, very quaint. You're going to race right down the wash all the way to the middle of town. There is an international airport you can see on the right there. You can fly in and out of Loreto. The call sign is LTO. Try to stay off the flights that we want because we don't need all you guys boogering up the flights, but we've already booked all our flights, I think, so we're not too worried about you guys. You're going to go right through the middle of town, Nate. This is very different. I'm assuming this is something the city of Loreto really wanted to do.
Yeah, I think I wasn't involved in all the decision making on it, but I think it solves one of the problems of trying to go north up through the area that we were racing south on before coming down past Loreto. So the Loreto area is always a tough area. There's some tough to get some land permissions and tough to get through some areas just from soft dirt and stuff from being new course. But I think this was really cool score to go down through Loreto, get the permissions for that. I think the town is appreciative of that as well. And it also takes us up into some new area that we've never raced on before, a new property owner. When we were down there, he was super excited that we're using that area. It took us a little while to navigate through where exactly he wanted us to go. But I believe it's all cleared out and good to go now. But they're super excited that we're racing through that area. So yeah, really cool new section, I think.
I'm really excited too. Most all services can be found in Loreto. Cell service, the international airport, there's supermarkets there, gas stations, ice can be found, a couple amazing hotels. You'll have to do the work on your own to figure out the names and where they're at. Sorry. There is this big go around right here. I wanted to mention this. It's still in the speed zone, so you're going pretty slow. But there's still a possibility of local traffic, especially now that they've blocked off that coastal road. When you're pre-running, there's a lot of people that take their dogs out or go to the north part of town. Please beware of traffic. Also beware that there's a giant hole that has been tractor dug alongside the fence on your right side. So there's a giant hole and a tractored hole and a fence. Just take it easy. Don't be a hot rod. Again, it is speed zone, but I'm just stoked, Nate. That
Cody... if I can interject just real quick on that too. So one thing that SCORE really tried to do when we were mapping this course, we gave you guys lots in this 1,310-mile race. There's lots of places to find lines and make up time and do some passing. But some of these sections, especially in towns and in areas like this, there's a reason why it goes around places. So even when you're pre-running down there, don't just skip that section and try to go through areas that aren't on the course. There's a reason why they're that way. And this isn't the place to try to shortcut when you're even when you're racing, especially pre-running. So just be respectful of these type of areas and spend your time trying to find lines and shortcutting in places where we left it open for you guys to do that.
Yeah, I think we covered that with don't be an a-hole. I'm just glad Cody didn't give you our files for over here, so we didn't get you guys on any of the routes that we use over here. But this was new to me, this left at the end of speed zone going up it's like this ridgeback out of town. It was really cool. On trail emissions, we came to a gate up against this arroyo up here. But that is now open, but very narrow after VCP. Is that 56? It's hard to see. Speaking of trail mission,
we got Ryan Arciero jumping in too. I'm going to admit it.
We don't even like Ryan Arciero.
Yeah.
While he's getting his audio on, we were talking about trail emissions. It actually airs this Sunday on ESPN for those of you who would like to watch the Monster Energy Trail Emissions presented by Can-Am, brought to you by BF Goodrich. So check that out. Sunday, 2:00 Pacific, 5:00 Eastern on ESPN. Ryan Arciero, are you going to turn on your camera so we can see your pretty face?
I'm trying here. I gotta figure this out on my phone. I've never done it on my phone before. Amateur hour. There we go.
One of the prettiest off-road racers that we have in our sport, maybe not the smartest. This is going to send you into a new section, Ryan. We're at race mile 305. I know you just were looking at some of this recently with me. This is all good fun wash. I will caution you that it has not been run at speed before, and when it was ran in,
I gotta allow.
you're messing up our show. We have to mute you. Sorry. Where'd he go? He's got to fix.
I don't know. Where did he go?
Anyway,
Jesus.
we're gonna carry on up this wash. I lost this course. Oh, now he's on twice. He's so good. There's two of them.
All right, we're going back to the course. He's gonna
Okay,
figure.
there he
it
is.
out.
See, I told you he's good looking, but not smart.
He doesn't have any audio. All right, go ahead, Cameron.
All the stuff around here, Nate. I'm sure you guys had to do a lot of picking your way through. There's probably like a little bit of rancher tracks, a little bit of wood gathering tracks. There is a pole line service road in this area. I noticed you got off of in some parts. I'm sure is really damaged. You're right on the highway a couple times, right next to it. You guys try not to be a-holes when you're pre-running. Cool, fun section, Nate.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There are some poles you got to watch out for. Concrete posts, maybe. I'm not even really sure what they are. Some maybe electric posts or something. But it was definitely some picking. We actually had to kind of get out and go around a fence and some areas. But I know the farm. This is the same kind of land where these guys were super excited that we were coming through their area. So I know they were going out to buff it out a little bit for you guys. But how was it when did you pre-run through there?
Yeah, we've been through there at race mile 310, all that. There's one hill that's starting to develop with a little bit of a side softness. There were some rocks thrown in there to try to combat that. This whole area, this is the original. This is where the Spaniards came and established the first mission in Loreto in 1697. But before that, they tried to establish a fort in this area, which is no longer there. And we're not right in that area, but it's a lot of cool history there. But this is all very fresh. What you're talking about, Nate, in some cases you come up and over a rise and all of a sudden there's like poles and a fence and you kind of got to stay around it. I believe that's pump station stuff, little spots where they can check either the gas line that's coming through that area. But that's going to make there's a couple horseshoes in here that out and back to VCPs. Couple tough
under Highway 1 right here.
Yep, we go under Highway 1. That's going to get us onto a big access road for that gas line. Note that there's some giant washouts and some surprise fencing and posts around the pump station areas. Be careful. It's going to drop you into a giant arroyo that is very undefined. Beware, lots of rocks, lots of we got in a situation, we were pretty early in pre-run. We had to come basically to a complete stop in a witch's eye with a giant log and had to make the decision. Cody said, "Don't stop." And we had to pop over something. So beware what you're pre-running on. You're going to come down and almost touch the highway. And then pretty soon you're going to be getting back onto some of the more traditional last few peninsula run race courses. There's a lot of farms in here. Be respectful. Watch out for developing holes. There is a lot of cross-grain holes in here. Right on the other side of
you're next to that fence. When you're next to that fence, there's a lot of you'll be looking around and all of a sudden there's some big giant 4-foot ditches. So just be careful when you're along that fence line for sure.
And you can't see them on the other side of the fence because the farmer has plowed it. So the hole is only on your side. So beware all that. And you can see the cross grain, the zigzag we're doing out there. It's going to be an adventure. This is an adventurous section, I would call it. This is not a regular road in many places, not a regularly used area. It's going to be soft. It's going to be loose. There's going to be giant cross grain. This is one of those areas, Nate, that we went around that I really was impressed by. That, we've ridden our dirt bikes back up from Rip to Cabo and our trail of missions trips going north. I've never been on this segment right here at VCP 87 going north, this big white rock face. When I came up to that, I had to actually stop and I was like, holy crap, that's beautiful. And I'd never seen that before. So you're coming up out of the arroyo and all this face is kind of really interesting to see. Anyway, that's going to take you up to El Rosarito. This is traditionally known as K60, also known as the East Road to San Juanico or Scorpion Bay from the surfers. It depends on what you're reading, but this is the La Purisima Road. And we were just on it, Ryan. What do you think? I mean, would you categorize it as pretty well maintained with some big holes? What would you say about it?
No, for the most part, it's pretty well maintained. I mean, with the rain and stuff that's gotten down there, there's still a couple washouts from that point right there, like we'll call it right around mile 350, heading to La Purisima. So keep your eyes out. It's a real technical section, so there's a lot of areas to make big mistakes. You're in the dust in that section. You're gonna have to exercise patience. A lot of the water's kind of exposed more of the rock. And the rock is more jagged in this area, and so really susceptible to flat tires. Something to consider as you're making your way to La Purisima. But for the most part, it's pretty much what we've done in the past, obviously backwards, with the exception of just more of the rock coming through from the dirt. So I said flats, a couple of washouts to pay attention to all the way to La Purisima, but pretty standard what we've seen in the past all the way to La Purisima.
Yeah, zoom in right here at race mile 380 or a little past it. Fishy fish right there. You see that zigzag coming down the hill? This is some of the most beautiful, most scenic parts of Baja. There will be spectators here at this hard left right here. You can look out over this La Purisima River Valley. I'm going to tell you one of the most spectacular views in all of Baja. And if you zoom out a little bit more, you can see El Pilon, which is right down here along the race course. It's got a green dot on top of it, further down the wash, right there. Zoom in on that. It's a spire, kind of like is that it? That's it. Hey, Cody, what does El Pilon mean?
Loosely translated as on top. I believe it's 977 feet tall.
So we were doing a trail of missions here. There it is. This is El Pilon. It's spectacular. Every time I go by, it reminds me of the Close Encounters Mountain for those of you that were alive in the 70s. It's a beautiful valley. And the reason why I give Cody a hard time about that is he did a stand up there on Trail of Missions, or no, for the BF Goodrich 50 Best of Baja, and explained El Pilon, and he said it twice and said on top twice. So we always, whenever we go by there, I say, hey, Cody, did you know El Pilon means on top? So this is a speed zone. Is that funny, right? I'm funny, right? I think I'm funny. I think I'm funny. Whether people think I'm funny or not, I don't really care because I make myself laugh. Nate, what do you think? Love the spot?
Yeah, I've never come in this direction into La Purisima, so it was really neat to see the view coming in and then coming through that town. I always love that town. I think it's really cool. With the little water,
the aqueduct
or whatever.
Aqueduct.
Yeah, aqueduct.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
if you guys look, when you come down the mountain, you're in a little town called San Isidro, and between San Isidro and getting to the bigger part of La Purisima, obviously there's a lot of water in this area. They have a gravity-fed aqueduct that from the 1600s at least, or 1700s, that runs alongside the road, and you can see it's really cool. The BFG pit number 3 is there. We just went by, right? Yep.
The aqueduct going our direction will be on your left-hand side, and Cameron's right. It is pretty cool to see. I've always been in awe of that every time I've come through that area. So, but also to your point too, Cameron, when I went through there on Thursday of last week, I mean, there was probably a dozen people at the top of the hill as you make your way down, just wanting to get pictures. The people in this town absolutely love when we come through. Kids were all out in force wanting stickers. So if you have the time, please stop, say hi to them, give them some stickers. They absolutely love what us coming through there.
For sure. And caution, no matter what time of day or night you go through there, school is in session usually, because if I'm not mistaken, they have the young kids in the early part of the day, then they have the middle schoolers in the middle part of the day, and the high schoolers in the later part of the day. That's going to take you, before you jump that far ahead, real quick, leaving the highway there, across the river. Hey, everybody, going up the side. This is a beautiful spot right here, but going up the side of this hill, just be careful. There's some big cliffs on the side. This is the traditional road that goes to San Juanico, Scorpion Bay. This is how everybody used to get there before they built the big highway that you'll be getting on shortly. This is all pretty straightforward. Some big rain ruts and deviations happen in there. There's a place we call the Ship's Bow. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, Cameron, just real quickly, when you're talking about the water crossing, right as you get out of the speed zone, you go back to speed again. The water's not that bad, and it's not the length of it's not very long either. So it was as mild as I've seen it in years past.
Yeah, it has been pretty mild for sure. A little bit trickier down here at the ship's bow, race mile 410. You were there more recently than me, Ryan. How does that, is that 410 where the ship's bow is? No, we're not quite there yet. This is actually on the highway. It's before that, right before that. There's a little, that looks like it. A little before that, there's a little tricky navigation through the arroyo if you go back just to Hairfish.
Yeah, it's actually better than it's ever been, Cameron. Because I remember, I mean, it gets real rocky. Usually, we have to deviate around a bunch of rock croppings, and it's the nicest it's ever been. We actually don't even have to deviate through it. You go straight through the wash and straight up and out of it. So in years past, we've had to kind of do a zigzag around a bunch of rock cropping. So it's better than it's ever been.
And you can see that big shadow there on the north side of that. That's a like 60-foot tall mesa at least. Which I think looks like a ship's bow when you're driving into it. Okay, let's get to San Juanico. You're going to be on the highway.
Before that too, when you get on the highway section of that speed zone, I mean, I know it's speed zone, but during pre-running, just realize not too long after you get on that highway, you have a bridge. The bridge is out, so they deviate you to the right of it to go around the bridge and then back up to the pavement again too. So just pay attention, and we're not supposed to be speeding during pre-running anyways, but keep your eyes open.
Yeah, it can definitely come up on you a little bit quick, but make sure you pay attention to the deviation and be respectful of the locals trying to make their way through there. This is going to bring you to San Juanico. Not a ton there. There is no PMAX. There is no power. There's a fishing camp and lots of surfing that happens in this area. That's going to take you northbound on this big rolling dirt road, big white graded road. Be careful for oncoming traffic. There is a shift left and right. Speed zone in Cudahy.
Hey, Cameron, back up just for 1 second. I just want to let everyone know too, when you leave San Juanico, it's really inviting to mash the throttle and go as fast as you can. And there are a ton of overrises. So to Cameron's point, during pre-running, I always exercise caution going over those, and I pull far right as I go over each one of those. And for the most part, most of them that you're going to be able in race day to be able to fly over. But there's a handful of them that you don't want to. They're straight. You go up and over them, but you don't want to carry 120 over them. So just be mindful as you start working your way to Cudahy, and then over one of them, you're gonna have a sweeping right to a sweeping left. It's not straight going all the way into Cudahy.
Yeah, that one right there you can see. It's always a little scary coming at it the other way too, but it all scares me. So be careful. Cudahy, speed zone. Be nice. Be careful. Going 30 miles an hour, one of our dirt bike riders had a major crash into a rock right there. We covered it on Rip Chicabo, but anything can happen at any speed. I would characterize the roads have been really well maintained. Baja Sur does a great job. This is La Baena. You can see the access road that comes from Mulegé, but I'm just going to tell you, if you are coming from Mulegé on that access road, it's like 4 hours, right, Cody?
Yeah, it's especially with the weathers and stuff, it's torn it up a little bit. So definitely
That's a long access road.
yeah, that's only if you are broken at mile 433 or a little bit. But long road, don't take a trailer over it, and try to have a truck that's capable of off-roading a little bit.
So watch out for big washouts and different stuff along here. The traditional turning to the left isn't happening down to El Datil. We're staying on what's known as the high road. Ryan, I would say that, over the last few years, they've done a really good job maintaining this. There are still some big on-purpose vados, meaning there's big concrete culverts. Nate, when you guys were pre-running, I'm sure it looked pretty good, but those big holes sneak up on you fast.
Yeah, it doesn't. It takes a split second. You could ruin your day real fast in those vados. So you definitely got to be careful going through those. 1 year, I think we tried to mark every single one with a danger. But some of them aren't as bad as others. And so then some people hit one like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And so they see the next danger mark and they're like not slowing down because the last one was okay, and then wadded up. So I think we put one danger in there just because it was a major one. But basically, it's on you guys as drivers to be careful and drive what you can see through there.
Ryan, you agree?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, in years past, long time ago, obviously the middle of that section used to be really, really silty. The road is actually in really good shape right now. It's fast, but to Nate's point and to Cameron's point, there are a number of autos in there that you'll rip a corner off or you'll stuff the nose in because it's inviting to want to go fast. And then you get into a tree line that's on both left and right of you, and you'll get into these little silt pockets. It's a hard packed road, but you'll have these silt pockets. Something else to be careful with because it's going to change the attitude of the vehicle when you hit these, because they're left and they're right and they're mixed in between soft and hard packed road.
Or 66 is what Ryan's talking about. If you guys want to zoom in there a little bit after the cattle guard and gate at Rancho Carrenta, looks like there could be water there. There generally isn't, but this is where it's real tight. And I think Ryan's one thing that we should really point out, two things. If you're pre-running going really slow, look at the ledges that looks like they were purposely built on the right side on the mesa. It's incredible.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. The other thing is there's a lot of free ranging animals out here. When the trees are on both sides, take it easy because you can't see. This is a good look at El Saltillo. Last time I was near El Saltillo out there wasn't water on it, but I'm guessing there probably is some water. I haven't been out there in a little bit to look at it, but yeah, you're coming into the whale camps.
Yep, and to your point too, there was a lot of cattle in this section, so thank you for bringing that up. We last Thursday we saw quite a number of them on both sides. When you got into the trees, the tree line on both sides of you, 100% they were all scattered all throughout there. So absolutely pay attention.
And just so you guys know this, where there's vegetation, there's usually more moisture.
That's mind blowing.
Is that mind blowing, right? And the animals are looking for moisture. There's another one that I always tell people on the dirt bike trips. If there's a ton of cow poop or horse poop on the road, that means there's a ton of animals. Okay.
Agreed. And the thing we have across this peninsula that I've seen more than I've ever seen is vegetation. From all the rain we've had, there's so much vegetation down there. It's amazing.
Fish, how are we doing on time? We're almost to San Ignacio. Are we running too slow?
We're good. No, we're going okay.
Hey, VCP 98. You're going to turn right off the big graded road, and then that's going to get you into some adventure. If you haven't rock crawled before, it's kind of that area. Not really, but it gets a little tech in there. I love this section, Ryan. Every time I'm in there, I kind of get a little bit of a chuckle because, usually racing on the big road and blah, blah, blah. I like this little technical aspect.
Well, it's funny because you come off these really fast roads, and all of a sudden it throws you right into the section with it's a bunch of lava rock and stuff in there, and so it's a thinking man's part of the course, or woman too, and so you can't hang the rear end around any of these corners. You're going to be blowing tires off. So you really got to think on this section from there back to the highway again.
Yeah, and if you're thinking, oh man, I'm almost to San Ignacio. Hold on. Nate from Jackson BFG and the fine people at SCORE decided they wanted to throw you a little curveball. Nate, let's talk about the super.
This was not on me. I got on that road and I was very thankful to be headed into San Ignacio. And then Arturo Nava from Baja Sewers, the guy who does the land permissions down there, works with SCORE and with the tourist department. Was sitting there alongside the road and said, here, turn. And I was like, crap. But once we got out there, it was a little tricky. If it wasn't as late in the day as it was, it probably would have been a lot more fun. But it's probably going to be fun for the race, I'm sure. It was pretty neat to be back there, and I think a lot of it's new, right?
There's a lot of it is. I know we did some of it in 17 or portions of it, but end up getting taken out. altogether. I think it was 17, but it ended up getting taken out. So, but it's to your point, Nate. It was pretty virgin when we went through there on Friday. Obviously, when you went there, it had been really virgin. But a lot of the cactus are overhanging into the race course, like above you. So you're a lot of bushwhacking and not meaning to do it. Rocks, there's a lot of rocks through there, but it's extremely technical. From the time you get off the pavement to the time you get back on, your pace is going way down.
And we've spent some time out there on our bike trips. There's lots of surprise little sections, lots of little zigzags, lots of little holes and arroyos that sneak up on you. So just pay attention. Bring you back to the highway. In 2017, you're right. I went out. I had a day off before the race, and I wanted to see that section. And I called Roger and asked him, "Hey, is there any chances of getting taken out?" Or maybe it was Jose G. No. So I went out there and pre-ran it. Then the next day they took it out. I was like, oh boy. Anyway, not to say they'll do that this time. I'm just saying San Ignacio is a beautiful waypoint on the peninsula. You can see how green it is. There's constant water. There's a dam. In the middle of town, there is a mission. You're going to drive right by the front of it. If you have the time, pull over, park, take a look. There's food services. There's a couple of giant trees you can sit under. The kids love it. You can see the mission again. Yep. Founded in 1728. There's also an ice cream store owned by the Romero family. Jerry is the dad, Edson the son, and for some reason I'm blanking on Edson's mom's name. You got that in your head, Cody? Anyway,
they have a new coffee shop down there too that I've heard makes really good coffee.
It's amazing It's a great little spot. You're gonna be in the speed zone. I see BFG pit. Is this four? Yeah, 4.
Yeah, this is 4. This is a non-traditional spot for us, of course. Again, going backwards, we had to get on the other side of the road. Normally, we're right above rice and beans on the highway, but that's on the wrong side of the highway for pitting. So this is down there in that little turn, really wide open spot, really cool. And
right across from the baseball field.
Yeah, yep. And a little plug out to Rice and Beans is not too far away either. And the history that's in that little place, you stop by and say hi. And if you've never stopped there for dinner or lunch, it's a really cool spot to check out.
And that's going to bring you up. There's a whale skeleton right alongside the highway there. You're going to get on. This is actually the Trans-Peninsula Highway, Highway 1. For a short amount of time, you're going to go through or next to the military inspection.
You'll actually drop. They're dropping us off into the dirt prior to getting to the inspection. So you're at the inspection. It's just pushing you off and going around the inspection now.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I think if I remember right, there's a fence up there. So if you think you're going to be able to just keep going on the highway up further and jump off later, I believe there's a fence.
I think you're right, Nate. It's a good point.
Yeah.
So this starts some of the great lava fun. Usually going the other direction, but this way there's going to be a couple big downhills. Just beware. There's a very narrow section down here in the bottom as well. After the sand wash, you're almost there. Fish right there at VCP 115. There's like a little virtual kind of boulders on both sides in there. Climbing. There's
some big ones. So don't rush it through there. They're sitting right on the course.
Show enders, day enders, show stoppers.
Yep.
Ryan, this all right here, this flat tire alley, for anybody that wants to try to get racy right here, this is not a good spot to do it.
You need to kind of actually, for the time you turn off the pavement at that speed zone in the military check, this section all the way till you climb the hill and get up on top of everything again is really patience. I mean, it really is. There's too many places in that little short section to get flats and to rip a corner off. So to me, you're not racing through here at all. You're just getting through it.
That's going to bring you through a couple different sections, ranchos and stuff, to the Abriojos Road crossing, small speed zone here. Then you'll continue.
Everything. I'm sorry, Cameron. Everything leading, just so everyone knows, everything leading up to that highway crossing right there, it's all good. It's nothing out of the norm we haven't seen in years past. The weather's been nice to it, so it's from here back to Vizcaino. It's really straightforward. No big surprises at all.
Roger that. Yeah, a lot of similar stuff. This is the Vizcaino Desert, if I'm not mistaken. One of the explorers was named Vizcaino. He's also the cartographer that originally drew this desert map back in the 1600s. headed north. Lots of sand and
and
fast
Cam,
sand.
just to point out too, when you see a bunch of VCPs like that in a straight line, there's probably a reason. So, this section you got to make sure you make that left hand turn and then that right hand turn and stay on the course. There's a reason why there's that many VCPs in a straight line.
Copy. Don't deviate. This is a little different, right, than what you've done in the past, Nate?
Yeah. I think that the place just further south that you just went by, I think that's the same. We had originally gone around, and I think it got changed back. I think in whatever year that was that we did this section, and then this is a little bit different here as well, but pretty straightforward, I think.
Copy. And that'll bring you into Vizcaino. There's a VP Racing Fuels gas station there. Very well lit, good store there. If you guys want to stop in, it's right up in the middle of town, a little bit north of where you cross the highway there. Good people own that thing. Racers own that. Anywhere you see a VP Racing Fuel gas station in Baja, those are owned by racers that live in the Paz. So make sure you go and share your money with them. They'll take very good care of you at those stores. This is different too, Ryan. How did you like this leaving Vizcaino?
Leaving it gets a little tricky. I mean, there's some rock croppings that are out there. As soon as you cross the highway, you're starting making your way, and there's a dump out there. Pay attention a little bit to that area. The markers and the way the course goes can get a little confusing. If you blow a corner, you're going to know, obviously, because you're going to be off the GPS file at that point. But it's very easy to do. I missed a couple corners going slow. Sun was in our eyes too, because we had an early morning start that day. But if you can zoom in, Fish, let me see what the mile marker is. Zoom in right where you're at there. Yeah. I'm going to show there's a little belly. Keep going. Go to the left. Keep going left. Keep going to the edge of the where the housing is. Up, north, right to the edge of the housing, right there. So you're gonna go around a little ranch right there. That got a little confusing with the markers, and it almost looked like it wanted to throw you to the right of the house, and the way the markers were looking. But you actually need to go past the house, and you're going around it, and it gets real narrow through there. So I said it got a little confusing for me when I went there, and I had to turn around a couple of times. So, but once you do it the first time, you're like, okay, now I get it, now I understand it, because there's a bunch of roads that go a bunch of different directions. So just nothing really major in that area. It gets rocky past that house, so patience through there all the way down until the course ties back in to the 21 course going southbound, which is just a little bit north of right before it goes straight again, Fish, before you get to the big road. It's all pretty much straightforward through there. A couple washouts through there, nothing big to worry about. It's all fast, but in the beginning part of it, there's rocks. So pay attention to those. And then you're going to get to a point where it's just going to open up fast all the way till you get to that hard right into the big access road, and then you're straight to. It's a 2 wide road straight for 4 miles as fast as you think you want to go till you get to your right and left. All that has been standard, same stuff we've done in years past, and the condition of the roads are pretty much the same. And then you get just past the town right there, you get into a section that's probably one of my favorites in all of Baja. Sandy base, flat, but you have to actually drive it in and out of the cactus. It's just nice and smooth and flowy all the way till you get to your left-hand corner, start heading towards El Arco. I mean, Cameron, I don't know what you think about that section, but I just absolutely love it. It's just so fluid.
The only thing I don't like about it is pre-running, that it's so fluid and nice that even the delivery trucks that are out there are kind of hauling ass coming back the other direction. So be careful of traffic. And I absolutely love it. I agree with you, Ryan. One of my absolute favorites. We're super blessed, like on our bike trip, that we have a helicopter spotting for us. But yeah, definitely be careful, because the bushes are about 8 feet high, just high enough to not be able to see anything around you.
Yeah.
Tunnel.
For sure. And when you make that left, I mean, really it's a decent road leading up to the left before you start heading towards El Arco. And then when you turn left and start heading towards El Arco, that it's the same type of road, but it just narrows down to the width of the vehicle. So it almost, the fun factor kind of goes up even more, but even more of a reason to pay attention to your point of oncoming traffic.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to bring you into El Arco, a super
Let me do a real quick shout out, if you don't mind, Cameron, on Pit 5, El Arco Pit, BFG Pit. So our friend Victor Angon works for the Fab School, and I don't know if you've never heard of the Fab School. They basically teach you fabrication for off-roading, and so it's really cool school. But they partnered up with us, and they're going to be using all their guys to be out there in BFG Pit 5. So just a shout out to Fab School. If you have any interest in that, check them out.
Nice. Yeah, no, for sure. It's it's a desolate wasteland, seems like, but there is life there. People are there. There's still mining going on. Back in before the highway came in the early 70s, this was the main road that went down the Baja Peninsula, actually came through El Arco because it was a hotbed of mining. It has a road number on it, that Chase Road, but it is a graded road, so to speak. Cody, how's that thing look nowadays?
I haven't been on it in a while, but it's fast. I love going through that area with the big cardones and stuff once you drop into the wash. I like it. Cardones are, 30, 40 feet tall, so it's pretty awesome to see those things.
If you're looking at maybe trying to say, I want to break this section up a little bit, and I just want to kind of loop around Vizcaino a little bit, this is your chance at El Arco to turn left and go back. So as soon as you leave El Arco, you're not going anywhere but Bay of LA.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that town is there are people there, and it's actually busier than it's been in past years. That whole road there, but even in town, so just be aware for local traffic while you're going through, especially pre-running, going in and out that access road. If you do, just know there's been a lot of activity up there lately.
The access road is probably the best I've ever seen it right now. So try not to mess it up too much, but they're doing a lot of mining out there at El Arco, and they built a couple new buildings actually. So it deviated the race course a little bit going through the town, but yeah, so they're ramping up business out there with the mining up in the local hills.
It's a cool zone. Slippery graded roads at times. You get into this little canyon here, start zigzagging along through Pierre de Gorda. And Ryan, this is one of your favorite spots on the race course up here as you get closer to Punta San Francisco.
Oh yeah. As soon as you turn off the good road, you're gonna cross a wash, and it's gonna be rocks. It's gonna be so you've been hooking it on really good, and the road's been bitching, and you're getting it sideways, and everything's flowing like a rally course, and all of a sudden you jump into this crap, and it's inviting to want to go fast, but there's rocks behind every single bush, just sitting there waiting for a tire. And the road gets very narrow, and the vegetation, all the cactus and everything, they're overhanging. So I think maybe we probably cleaned most of it off on Friday of last week when we went and did this section. So hopefully you guys don't get any cactus in the cab, but it's inviting to want to go fast. It's another section where you got to exercise patience, and because it's not very far until you get to the San Francisco cutoff. But it's every bit of a place to get a flat tire in that section, and just taking it easy.
Yeah, no, it's a very technical section, and worth noting, SCORE and the Baja government have road graders going in from both sides, working to fix some of the washouts and vados and deviations. But please be careful for water damage out there. And Fish is on one of my favorite spots, race mile 695. This is San Rafael Fish Camp, and ode to Pancho, who's no longer there. He passed away about 4 years ago. He used to be one of the best Baja ambassadors on the peninsula. Just a stellar greeter, and just a beautiful location. They're still operating fish camp in there, so just beware of traffic going in and out of there. But a great little spot to be able to see that Sea of Cortez.
And then right there too, just so you know, I mean, SCORE has us coming off of that road in that town right there. There's a reason. Don't try to say I'm going to go straight, because the road is gone. I mean, it's a 5-foot drop off, and it's water going across the road, so it deviates us for a reason off of the main road. So just pay attention to it.
when we went there for the Baja Strong relief for Hurricane Odile in 14, Poncho heard us on the hill and came running out because he knew we weren't going to be able to cross that. And we hand carried supplies across, and then finally got two trucks out of the 4 across there. Really tricky section. I'm going to call this maybe the most consequential danger in the entire peninsula. It's definitely one of the scariest spots. This road on top of the mesa is very fast. It has been. Ryan was just there this week. It's been a week for me or so, more actually. But this left turn is blind. Ryan, it sneaks up on you.
It does. I mean, I think I agree with you when it comes to this part of the race course. One, for the washouts, Score did a really good job in marking the washouts that are down there now, but not all of them are marked. So the ones that aren't marked, I mean, literally, they're on the left or right hand side, and you will rip a corner off of your vehicle. You're on a motorcycle, you're going end over end. So it's a part of the course you really need to pay attention to and get your notes on. Like Cameron was saying earlier, we ran into 2 tractors working their way from Bay of LA going south, fixing the road. And then we didn't see the ones leaving El Arco going the other way. So we never saw them. But when we ran into the guys that were fixing the road coming from Bay of LA, they had already got, I mean, it was 15 to 20 miles out of Bay of LA that they already fixed. So when we passed them, there were still a lot of dangers that Score had marked that are no longer dangers anymore that they were able to fix. They've done a great job fixing the road. So I can imagine that they're going to get pretty far by, this was Friday of last week that I saw it. So I guarantee they're doing a good and quick job in getting this stuff fixed. So I would venture to say they're going to get a majority of it fixed, probably not all of it, but a majority of it fixed between now and the race.
Good information, Ryan, for sure. Let's move up to LA Bay. There's traditionally tons of washouts, tons of vados. The cross grain here, very dangerous. LA Bay, a beautiful little fishing village, so to speak, now has power, has hotels, does not have cell service. There are 2 different PMXs. Don't always count on there being fuel, because we have been there even recently in the last couple of years when there is no fuel. That's going to put you on the highway speed zone, and you're going to start trucking out towards Highway 1, BFG Pit 6. And we got to kind of move along. I know we're going to run out of time here if we're not careful. Pit 6, you're going to turn off into, this is a great area of cactus, boojums, cross grain, a little bit dangerous. It's different than what we used to race 15 years ago, but this has become the traditional route as of late. Bypassing the highway and LA Bay Junction. I did want to mention chasers and race cars. Make sure you don't have your big race lights on the highways. Be respectful of everybody. Make sure every race car has a low beam setting. Make sure all the chase trucks don't have your LEDs, HIDs, or whatever you want to run on the highway. It's going to bring you to the road crossing. It's going to be a little chaotic here, I predict. There'll be a lot of traffic, lots going on. Everybody, please be careful. It is a speed zone crossing. This is going to take you out to one of my favorite little trails, routes in Baja. It's a good 2 tracks. It's got some sneaker surprises on it. Get into this junction here where the other access road comes in, which, by the way, is no joke. It's a pretty good little distance there. What race mile are we at?
795.
It gets tight in here. It's still fast, but tight, or quick and tight. Just be careful. Lots of low hanging fruit in there. Be real careful. Nate, I'm sure no matter how fast you're going, there's always just a little surprise. And that's my Adobe that I like to visit sometimes. That is featured in the Trail Mission Show this Sunday with Larry Ragland, Roger Mears, Phil Blurton Sr., and a number of us visiting that on the Monster Energy Trail Missions, presented by Can-Am, brought to you by BF Goodrich. Race mile 800. This continues down. You're going to start going downhill. There's some real tricky, like, back and forth in here. Be aware. Be careful. It's not super crazy, but there are a couple little dangerous spots. That's going to bring you down to the bottom of this arroyo. And a few years back, we raced through. There was a lot of silt in this area. Recently seeing it, Nate, you didn't see any silt, right? It looked pretty good.
Perfect when I was there.
And you have to deviate around some of the holes. Cody, what do you think? There's going to be some silt because pre-runners can't not spin their tires. There's going to be a ton of silt. What's your opinion?
When we saw it, it wasn't too bad. It was getting a little bit loose, but I guarantee there'll be at least some silt because everybody likes to spin the tires through everything. So if everyone just pre-run slow and doesn't spin tires, it shouldn't shoot up too much. But there's always that last week of pre-running, and people are going to be tearing it up, and there definitely will be silt. So just be careful through that area.
Yeah, be aware. You're getting down into a little old rancho down in there before you get to the coast. There's a couple different areas of silt pockets that are going to develop. Also, when you get past danger 20, I'm trying to think what danger 20 is. Nate, do you have that off the top of your head? Or it's the drop.
It's a high rise.
I know exactly what it is now that I'm looking at it. It's that ledge that you're looking at where the road drops in. I actually was surprised by the way this was routed. I think it's pretty cool. On our dirt bike trips, we've used a couple of these routes, both of the routes up and down. I was surprised we weren't along the coast more, but I think it's super fun. Nate, how did you guys decide which of these routes to use, so to speak? I call them routes. And speaking of routes, I see a blue line there, which is probably one of the toughest blue lines. Did you drive that recently, Cody?
I didn't drive it, but Jeff Cummings actually drove that, and they had to get out of the truck in a stock Ford Raptor and do some rock crawling and navigating through there to get through there. But they did make it, but it took quite a long time.
Yeah, I just started laughing when I heard that he was going on that road, but he was bound and determined to make sure that line got all the way through. So
this is the one that we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
Jeff actually said, "Hey, I'll go do that line." I said, "Okay, no problem."
So. That's traditionally. So Cody and I, just for reference, at race mile 828, we spent the night pre-running there one night in 2003. It was going across what's the race course now, and then we went up that trail. And in the zigzags before that lake bed, Cody spent the second night there. So that was a 2-nighter for Cody in that zone. It's not for those that aren't experienced, I would say. Okay, let's carry on with the race course. We're going to zigzag up this mountain. And
hey, Cameron, before we go too much further, I don't know if we pointed out the sportsman shortcut, did we?
Oh, good point. I wasn't
on this map
where it was. Let's go. Is it there?
You know where it is, Nate?
Right there.
Yeah, basically it just stays on the highway, or they make that right and go up the highway to the what we call Fred's tractor trail.
Okay, so they get on the highway and they come up here, and then it gets off, or it gets back on right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go from mile 785 basically, and then they get back on at right about 935.
Yeah, for the fun section across.
There you go. All right, so that's your sportsman shortcut. So then
all
we're
right,
back.
go ahead, Cameron. Talk about your Catavenia loop experience.
Oh yeah, it's fun, good stuff. This is what I mean. Yes, a lot of what we've already looked at is remote Baja. This is a remote Baja. Don't crap on yourself in here, because getting someone to help you, getting a part, getting out, all of that is not easy to do. So this is what we call on our trips the never going to see anybody, never going to have anybody coming to help you, never going to be cell service, never. That's all of this. So hang on to your hats and glasses and take it easy. This whole loop here was really a surprise to me. Stoked to have been on it a couple times. We up there at the top on VCP 173 race mile 850. You get near a ranch, but no one's there. There's no civilization and no one out in any of this. This downhill here, this down area, there's a lot of rocks hanging out on the side, huh, Coco?
A few.
A few, for sure. That's going to bring you back down around 870. At some point, you're going to get back on what's known, I call it the Big White Road, the Alfaro Road, the Catavenia Road, but that's how you're going to come back into here. You're coming in north of Catavenia. And that last 30 miles, 20 miles going into race mile 903-ish, VCP 180 is pretty much road. Watch out for traffic. This is a good adventure in here. Ryan, you love a good adventure, right? And we were technical. We were out doing some adventuring. Nate, I'm just curious, how long did it take you to course plot from race mile 903, leaving the Alfaro Road, to race mile 920 after you cross the highway and get back on?
So the first thing I'll say is we made the right decision because it was getting late and we popped out at the access road and went into Catavenia to start the next morning. So we weren't trying to do that in the dark.
Mark.
Yeah, I'm glad we did. It was it took a little while.
It's
it's 5.5 hours to go 20 miles, I think it was.
Yeah, so it's an adventure. This is all the wash that you jump in at race mile. I think it's 903. I've been in that wash on my dirt bike, not in a four-wheel vehicle. So it's a good little adventure. There's already tracks going all around. Cody always says stay on the racetrack and you'll probably get through. I didn't stay on all the way and I got stuck. You guys can see those pictures also on our Desert Assassins Facebook and Instagram. Cody was mad at me for a while, but I got paid back because I ended up with jumping cholla stuck in me. I still have a pretty good lump right here. Cody had to get out of the truck at like, what was it? Race mile after VCP 184, he had to get out of the truck and come pick the cactus out of me. That's how tight and technical and zigzaggy it is in there. Good adventure, Nate. Thanks for all the fun. Thank you, Score and Jose G and all the team that put this together. We
call those roto trails, just so you know.
Roto trails. Okay, we call those dirt bike trails usually. So bringing four-wheel vehicles is a lot of fun. This wash right here is a banger. Lots of good stuff in here. Just real tight, real technical. Pay attention to what you're doing. You're going to cross the highway. There's the BFG pit number 7.
Yep.
And your adventure's not over. There's still more. This little section right here, 920. Cody warned me that this was coming. Ryan, I know you like these tight little rock crawls. Cody, you want to walk them through this one?
Right there, there's a natural spring that you got to go around. So the water comes from up the arroyo and down into this little spot, and it pools up right there. So if you went straight across there, you'd be going through a big ditch in water. So they're running you up and around it, and you got to go put your left side tires up on these rocks just to make it so you don't fall into that water. There's probably a 5-foot drop right there. So it's a little adventurous. I saw it when we were laying out the course when I went out the access road, and we Nate made it through in his Raptor, and then we made it through in our 6100 truck. So it's passable for sure, but you don't want to slide into that water hole because you will be probably on your side.
Yeah, and you can't see it. So it's a lot of fun when you're getting up on the rocks. Anyway, that brings you back to the highway, and you take a deep breath, but stay on your side, dim your lights, turn left. Hi there. Welcome to Fred's Tractor Trail. There's some good rocky, crappy stuff right out of the gate there. You're going to come to the top. This used to be called, it's called Fred's Tractor Trail because Fred tried to make a shorter route to get to Gonzaga Bay. Right down a little bit lower, not that left, but the lower left. Go back, go up, right there in the middle of your screen. That little left right there is very, very narrow. So rock sticking out on the left side. We've been through it in Raptors and trophy trucks and all that stuff. It's been used on the race before, but take your time getting through there. The bottom of this valley right here, the lot by La Turquesa Mine, this is some of, I think, the most beautiful cactus viewing in all of Baja. When you get to the very bottom of Fred's Tractor Trail, it's spectacular, beautiful. Watch yourself because there's a lot of things that are pokey in there and it's tricky. You're going to go under the highway. Note, it's not easy to go under the highway just after. Just pay attention. There's like a zigzag there. There's a big washout. There's a concrete abutment sticking out on the left side. So just pay attention when you're pre-running and going through there. I'm sure it'll get cut in and be a little bit more obvious. Get on the highway, speed zone. This is a long one. How far is this one, Nate?
60 miles.
Yay!
But I don't think many of you will be complaining about it if you've been in the truck for most of that course before you got here.
Yeah.
If you have, you probably want to get out there.
Yeah. I would switch with Cody so he could drive and I could take a nap. The hum of the motor late at night puts me to sleep on the highway, on the long highway slow sections.
I mean, that's going to be 1 hour, right? You said it's 60 miles and it's 60 mile an hour. So 1 hour.
Yep.
You can do easy time splits on that. But and just to explain to people, maybe if they're watching and don't understand, like there's a lot of places we can jump off the highway, But then because of those cliffs further south, you have to you're jumping on and off the highway. And every time you do that, you have to have people. And that soaks up a lot of people to do all this jumping on and off highways to try to make it so it's not such a long speed zone. But that's just a little plug for why that's that long.
Copy. Well, I mean, it's a long way. The peninsula is a huge place. They keep paving some of the roads. It's inevitable that we're going to have speed zones and transfer sections. So everybody just take it easy. Then that comes to about race mile 10-15. You're 1,000 miles into the Baja 1000, which is another 300 miles ago. And guess what?
San Felipe.
San Felipe for a couple hundred miles. Matomi Wash, as it's known. It's probably, I mean, some of the most famous washes in all of off-road racing right here. You love it.
It's in good shape. It's in good shape right now too. I mean, it's a freeway. Matomi was one of the nicest of all of them leading up to San Felipe. So until you get up and out of it, so not a whole lines have developed as of Friday of last week, but it's pretty wide open all the way till you jump out of Matomi, and then it's just standard cross grain stuff after you've done that, after you drop out of Matomi, and you make your you kind of work your way back towards Portecitas and make your left to go back up the next wash.
Azufre Wash, which leads to Guatamote, leads to Chinate, leads to Amarias. Lots of washes. BFG Pit 8 at the pump station. That at the end of the Purisima Road?
Yeah.
Okay, so Purisima Road, there's a BFG pit. More wash in here going up towards the Amarias wash.
Now the Azufre wash, if we go back to Azufre down, which is the one after Matomi, there's a couple tricky sections through Azufre that you have to do some rock crawling. I can probably imagine there's going to be guys. That's where the canyon gets real narrow, and it has some big S's back and forth. I can imagine there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to go out there and start moving rocks around. We made it through. I think we were probably one of the first big trucks to make it through there. We made it through, no problems, but I can see a lot of guys getting stuck and getting high centered. All of the washes, something I noticed of all of them last week, is they're all softer than I can remember in a long time. With all the rain that came down and now that's all dried up, the sand is really soft. So I can imagine there's going to be a lot of guys getting stuck.
Yeah. So, pay attention when you're pre-running. If you don't pre-run, make sure you're going the right pace. I would not suggest going in there without pre-running. I hear some people do it. I always try to avoid such things, but I know everybody has their own way they go about it. Coming into the backside of San Felipe, someone go ahead.
They weren't making it. Once we get out of the last wash or Amarillos, they don't make it any easier for us. It's not like, oh, okay, we're going to get on the good roads and head on into all the farmland into San Felipe. They carry us right alongside the edge of the mountain, as you can see there, zigzags, right along the edge of the mountain, and it's rocky. It's the big ditches. It's all overhang with brush. And it's not, it's not super fun road all the way till you get to Zoo Road and the Pole Line Road, and then they give you another surprise of miles and miles of bumps leaving Zoo Road.
So generous of them. I love it. Well,
it's only 1,100 miles into the race. It's not a big deal, really.
No, and Fish, to your point, when I was pre-running last week, that's all I thought about, and we were still early in the day. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on that Friday when we were coming through the section, and that's the thing that was in the back of my head is like, we're 1,100 miles into this race. What's the pace going to be like when you get to this point? And to me, it's once again a thinking man's race. You're racing the Baja 1000. You're not racing the San Felipe 250, and literally. I mean, I would venture to say that Jose G and Nate and all the guys that helped lay this course out, we're doing pretty much every bump that San Felipe has to offer for the most part.
I'm a little bit bummed that they didn't go back through the mini summit, though. I think you should have done the mini summit back this way just to top it off.
Me too. I think they should have done a bonus line for the trophy trucks through the mini summit.
Yeah,
it would have been it would have been an absolute topper, 100%. So. But
All right, we got to move it
Cuervos-
along a little bit. We're taking up a bunch of time, which is fine.
All
We
right.
don't have a time limit, but yeah.
All right. Let's,
Cuervos wash, the last wash we do, it's actually in nice shape. It's all good through there. And then once you get to the very, very top of the course, like towards Diablo, and you turn right on the near the pole line road, it is complete dog crap from there all the way to the highway. You get these really big, like 4-foot sand whoops that are one after another all the way till you get almost to Highway 3. So just be careful. Just take your time in there, but it's hard on the vehicles. So, and it's all straightforward from there. It's all straightforward stuff we've done just adjacent to the Ox Memorial. When we get back to the Polian Road and start heading towards the windmills, it's gnarly, nasty, rough through there. San Mateus Wash is actually in good shape as well. So, nothing too concerning in any of that loop at all.
Mike, the just past the Mike's Road there looks like BFG Pit 9. We're gonna do the fun goat trail.
Hold on one second. Something I remembered that I know a lot of guys take is when you get into San Mateus Wash, a lot of guys know of taking the high road. It's a straight, fast road. It kind of takes you out of San Mateus Wash. A lot of guys know it. A lot of guys have done it. Cameron, you know which one I'm talking about. At the end of it, you drop off a ledge and you cross the wash and start heading towards San Mateus. That I would not do right now at all. It's a complete vertical drop off into the wash. That's about probably 8 to 10 foot tall.
I hear you on that. We actually lost first year there in 2018 when we won the Baja 1000. We raced from mile 100 all the way to mile 8, whatever it was, with no first or reverse. Good point, Ryan. Up the goat trail, if you guys want to see some goat trail action, Doug Haydak posted some footage of all the trophies coming down through there today on his Facebook. This is some traditional racing up here, leaving the goat trail out the back of Hamu. Special little bonus left into this section, race mile 1201. The score came up with cross a Hamu road. Be careful, watch for people and all kinds of stuff. The dangers are out there. We raced a lot of this stuff recently. Just take it easy. This is a road coming out of Independencia. It's just race course. Be careful, man. Have fun, be safe. This all loops around through the low mountains, lots of washouts and side edges, back into the washes, some zigzagging back around. This is Independencia, sorry. The last one below was Reforma. Raced this, right? This is a lot of similar course, Cody, from the and Nate from the 400.
Yep, a lot of the same. Couple little changes right in that area, the VCP 275 to 280, but that's a little newer from the last race, but the rest of it's pretty much the same backwards.
Copy. Cross getting on the highway at K78, back off K77. You can smell it. The first time I won the Baja 1000 in 1600 and 2003, I starting to smell the finish line right about there. Don't get too cocky because there's still a lot of dog crap to go. These VCPs in here that are lettered, right? Lettered.
Yep.
They are 40-foot radius. Is that right, Nate?
I don't know. I don't want to answer that. I don't
Okay.
know.
It is very strict. It is very, very strict on this.
Disregard the number I gave you. Refer to your score rules. I'm not 100% sure. I don't. Cody, are you 100% sure?
Pretty sure it's 40 feet and 120 feet for the numbered ones, but look at
Just
this.
stay on the course.
But yeah, that to Nate's point. Obviously, they're putting those lettered ones in there because they want you off that main road. So stay on the course. Don't try to cheat it and hit the VCP and then jump back out to the main road. He's doing it for a reason, not because he wants, not because they want to be jerks about it, but because the locals in there don't want you running that part of the road.
Yep.
So I just got a text. It is 40 feet. So
Roto confirmed 40
that's
feet.
the rule, but I would just stay on the line. And just so you guys are aware, it is basically the same exact course from the 400 backwards. So that was a lot of fun doing that a couple weeks after the Baja 400. You guys do really nice work out there. Thanks for that.
Perfect.
It gets chewed up. It gets chewed up when we don't run it, and so it had to have been 10 times worse, Nathan, when you went through there.
Yeah. while you're just looking through that, because this is all kind of familiar stuff, a funny story was Caden and Rob at the finish line of the 400, and Rob saying how chewed up the course was through a certain area, and Caden telling him after racing it in a UTV, you can't complain about anything. You don't even know what the course is like by the time those of us behind the trophy trucks go through.
Oh, ruthless.
So this is a good note right here. Once you do come back into Ojos, this is where you have to end your pre-run. There's no pre-running allowed past here, correct?
Yeah, and before that, Fish, so they are taking the Tres Hermanos Road back in, and that's super easy, fast, but pre-running lots of traffic. So please be careful on that road going back into Ojos.
Yeah, for sure.
And Nate, from Ojos back in, that's a snap. It's a snapshot of the start to back to where you get to where the course intersects, going back into the finish from the 400. Correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So we're not going to the blue. We're not going to the blue gate
for the outbound, not the inbound. Inbound, I think you guys went through the meadow and jumped out on the highway.
Yes, and then tied back into what they're running us to the finish here.
Right, for the outbound of the 400, I believe it's the same.
Copy. Well, you get into town, speed zones, take it easy. Remember, you have to get to the finish line, even though the time ends up on the mountain. You still have to drive into the finish line in a speed zone. Be careful. Fish, do you have any questions that are lurking out there that we should be answering?
No, I think we're pretty good. Everybody was saying the 40-foot thing was correct on the lettered thing. And yeah, that's it. That's your 1,300 miles of Baja 1000, huh? What do you guys, I got a question for you. Each of you, what do you think the finishing percentage is going to be overall?
I think San Felipe is going to wipe a bunch of people out, to be honest with you. That's a good question. I mean, I would say half.
I'm going to say somewhere between 38 and 42% finishing rate.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nate?
I hope for a 50%, but I'd be really surprised. I'm more in the 30-ish range.
You're probably right. What do you think, Fish?
Yeah, I was going to say 40 at the most would be my guess.
Yeah.
No. What do you think, Cody?
I'll say 44.
Yeah. It's going to be the gnarliest.
I'm high one. So, but problem is, I think you guys are probably closer to the truth.
I think one thing that is good news is that with the longer course, theoretically failures may happen later in the race where there's more and more people possibly able to support. I'm not sure if that's totally true. But generally speaking, when you race the other way, you have kind of a lot of people that want to come down for the day or whatever and don't want to drive all the way down the peninsula. So maybe more teams will have more support on the northern half and can get their things fixed. But like I said, that the Catabini loop, very remote. I think one of the things I always say is if you think it's a bad idea, it probably is. So definitely double think what you're doing. Don't take any chances. Please instill that in your teammates, your fellow drivers, people around you. It's for me, it's a race of passion and love. I know for many of us it is, but that includes coming home safe. And I can't say it enough times. We have lost friends on the Baja Peninsula, racing and non-racing, and it's terrible. We're all there for a good time. I know it's a race, blah, 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 but no race is worth risking your life or anybody else's life around you. Please do not take unnecessary chances. I'm sure, Ryan, you can echo some of that.
No, 100%. I mean, the biggest worry I have, and I know we've echoed it before in a lot of the other shows that Fish has done, is the chase guys. To me, that's the most dangerous part of this whole race is all of our support people, and there's no reason at all you should be hauling butt on the highways. Take your time. The highways, especially when it gets dark on this Baja Peninsula, the risk level goes through the roof, especially with with race traffic, local traffic. So just take it easy. I think the saving grace, which I really like, is the fact that we are going down Highway 5 and back into San Felipe, because it eliminates a lot of stuff going into El Rosario and San Quintin, and so I think it makes chasing a lot easier for a lot of people. But just be smart. Everyone's going to be tired when I get to San Felipe. Everyone's going to be exhausted. Chase guys obviously very much well included in that. So please just use your head.
Yeah, one other question we had was, what time do we think the bikes and trucks are going to be the finish and the winning time? On the little chart that I have, approximately maybe 23 and a half hours for the trophy trucks. That would put them back at the finish around 8:30 in the morning. And then for the bikes, maybe about 25-ish hours, which would put them back at the finish around 2 in the morning. Just based off some smart people's guesstimates.
I had 24 was what's been in my head looking over everything. So I think that's pretty damn close.
Yeah, so probably between 8 and 9 in the morning for the winning trophy truck, and around 2 in the morning for the bikes. What do you think, Nate? You're smiling.
Yeah, maybe it's a winning trophy truck. Maybe it's a trophy truck spec wins the overall Baja 1000 for the first time. You never know. I'm just saying, attrition is definitely going to be key in this whole race, and it's not going to be the fastest. I don't think. It's going to be whoever can have the less downtime, which makes them faster at the end, of course. But you know, I'm thinking 40 to 50% driving the whole way. There's some places where you can push, but even then, you can't push it 100% ever. I don't think on a course this long, and so it's going to be whoever's smart, whoever's got the right equipment. There are a lot of talented drivers out there, a lot of talented teams. Even the two donkeys on this call, and super talented drivers. It's going to be equipment to me. It's going to be an attrition race. It's going to be who can be smart, who can keep their stuff together, minimize downtime, and really just focus on getting to the finish, because it's like I think it was Ryan said, hey, or Cam said, hey, you just finished the Baja 1000. Now we got to go through San Felipe. So it's going to be gnarly, and keep your head on. We're always watching the racers, but it is the chasers that we're worried about the most as far as from a safety standpoint. I think it's gonna be fun. I think whoever wins this race, whoever finishes this race in the time limit, but especially whoever wins this race, I mean, that's going to be an accomplishment that it's going to be in the record books. That this is one for the record books, I think.
Yeah, I think what's kind of cool about this race too is I think the chase crews are really going to be involved again in this race. Like, you're able to fix the car, get back in the race, and still win this race. You know, like a lot of the other races that we do, if you have one problem, even if you have a flat tire or something, you're probably not winning in a lot of classes, right? But this race, you could probably change a transmission again if you can do it in 20 minutes and you know, maybe win still. So I think it's kind of cool that, you know, the pit guys are going to play a big role in this outcome. I don't think anybody's going to have a flawless race. There's no way. I don't think.
There's two. It's funny because I think I agree with that too. There's just so much this peninsula is throwing at you that's not normal from how we typically have done this race before. You know, whether it be a loop race or whether it be the peninsula run. And then, you know, we keep saying it, but to throw in the roughest part of what we ever race in any of our races at the very end is, to me, that's gnarly. I mean, you talk about exercising patience. You know, you better understand where your vehicle's at and what you're doing. And understand what it can take and what it can at that point.
Yeah, and somebody was asking, what is the actual time limit again? Do you know off the top of your head, Nate, or anybody?
It's 50 hours.
50 hours.
Yeah. So
50.
Basically, I'm gonna guess they got 300 entries, but that includes motorcycles. So by the time the four-wheel vehicles start at 9, maybe the last one's off by 11-ish, I would guess. So I would say 11:30 maybe. La Paz time, and that's another thing to remember down there. You got La Paz time, you got Ensenada time. I'm not 100% sure what scores, what their schedule all is on. I don't know if it's all on Central Time or if it switches to Pacific Time, but there is an hour difference too. It's 50-hour time limit from when the last vehicle takes off, or the last motorcycle.
Perfect. What do you think, Kevin? You ready?
I'm tired already, and I haven't even raced the race yet. I mean, the for me, honestly, I'm excited about the race. I think it's a great drivers and thinkers race, which I think plays into Ryan and my hands some. There's a lot of great teams out there, so it's really hard to be predictive. The lead up to it is maybe more pressure filled and exhausting than even the race at times, because trying to move all your chess pieces into the right position and making sure that everybody knows where to go, making sure everybody has the rooms, making sure everybody has the fuel, making sure your pits are all set up. So a lot that goes into it. We've been planning for it since the last Peninsula run. We've been staging items on the Peninsula for a good part of this year. So it's just so massive on the mind. When it comes to race day, I think that's where we just execute the plan so that it's less stressful. But it's something to behold, something to really take in, because I was just saying this at my pit meeting the other day. This could be our last Peninsula run for our team. You never know, right? If 3 years from now, who knows what's going on? Who knows what the sponsors are doing? Who knows what the race cars are doing? So you have to really, you really have to love it and breathe it in and take the time to enjoy it, because it doesn't happen every year. It happens every 3 years, more or less. I wish it happened every other year, but that's just me. It's just an amazing opportunity to be able to be a part of a historical and magical event. I'm fired up on it.
All right, Cody, you ready?
I got a couple little pieces of insight. Sorry, real quick. So I don't know if you guys know Roto, assistant race director for SCORE. So he's sending me in some of his thoughts. He's thinking motorcycles and quads will be done in 27 hours. They are staying on mountain time. I said central earlier, mountain time. So it is La Paz time the whole way through. He's saying 27 hours for the moto quads, and he says 18 hours for the four-wheel vehicles.
Whoa, I don't think so.
Whoa.
There's no way.
I don't know about that one. Yeah.
Roto's got a lot of confidence in you
ambitious.
guys' driving skills.
I know.
What did he say?
I'll take
no way.
18. Cam and I will take 18.
Maybe if we take the sportsman cut.
What is that, like 70 mile an hour average or something? There's no way.
72 mile an hour average.
Yeah, he did his math wrong.
He's not even here to defend himself. That's why I throw him under the bus. But
The hard part with being predictive is the speed zones and the 37 mile an hour zones and stuff like that. So I actually think it's going to be a little quicker than we've been talking about today, but still going to be very tough, and I'm not going to be in a hurry. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not really predicting, but it's fun to hear everybody talking about it, right? Talking about what they think or what the game plan. Is anybody taking odds? Fish, are you taking bets over there?
I don't know. We should, huh?
Make it interesting.
Is it going to be a 4-wheel drive or a 2-wheel drive trophy truck that wins?
Two-wheel drive, 100%.
will it be a trophy truck?
Or will it be a 4-wheel
Trophy
drive
truck? A trophy.
that is
A
in
two-wheel drive. I'm going to answer it. It's a two-wheel drive trophy truck. That's where my head's at. And that's where Cameron's head's at. So
Or an all-wheel drive UTV.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good
That's true,
competition
too.
with this kind of distance, and we'll see what's the most capable vehicle for sure. It's a little bit different style of race. Bringing up the all-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. I believe we're the only non-all-wheel drive starting in the first 10 positions. So that's a pretty interesting fact. I'm not 100% sure that's fact, but that's what we last saw. Cody and I were
I think
talking.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, whatever. Be smart, have fun, be safe. That's all I got for you.
All right. Wrap it up.
Yeah, this is all opinion based. You guys, use your smarts, use your brain cells. Don't be dumb. I want to thank PCI Race Radio's Weatherman Scott for coming in, talking about the safety and the communications. I want to thank BFG Relay for being willing to participate in some of the safety. I mean, they're always willing, but it's putting it out there that in an emergency situation, they can be part of that backstop. Thank you to everybody that's participated, from the fans, the people of Baja who have opened up their peninsula to allow this to happen. They are the biggest key to this, and they are the most stoked. Being able to high five the kids and hand out posters and stickers again, being post COVID, still being careful, but it's nice to be able to see everybody and see the stoke on everybody's face, which is one of the things I like to say, sharing the stoke, like with our Baja HQ off-road shop. But I'm just super stoked to have everybody involved in BFG. Thank you, Ryan, for making the time to come in and talk about segments and some of your history. 3-time overall winner. Cody, thank you for sharing some of your insight. And Fish, thanks for the platform and the area for us to be able to come in and talk about it and be able to share some of these opinions and be able to answer some of the questions along the way.
Yeah,
And thank you to Score. Sorry, and thank you to Score International for pulling this race off too. I mean, it's amazing what they've been able to pull off.
100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, thanks to all you guys for coming on, because without you guys, we wouldn't have a show, right? And maybe one of these days, Cameron will learn how to spell his name right too.
Whose name?
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I echo what Nate says. I mean, Jose G and the entire team at Score allows us goofballs to go do what we love and what we've dreamt about doing our entire lives. So hats off to them for all this hard work. I can't even imagine what they go through to put this on. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you to Score. That was one thing I was going to say to Roger, Jose G, Juan Tintos, Roto, the entire crew, the medical workers, the safety workers, the crew, everybody that's involved with this, the media. Thank you. Everybody be safe, be smart. If you have any other questions, you can send them to Fish or send them to Desert Assassins or one of us, and we'll try to give you our best answer we can. Safety first, err on the side of caution. And like I said, if you think it's a bad idea, it probably is. And that's going to do it for this Baja 1000 course overview and preview. Thank you, Fish, again for the opportunity to have us all here talking about Baja.
All right. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you in Baja.
Thanks, Fish.